Today we're going to do kind of a lab session to follow up some ideas from the previous assignment. Um, and in the previous assignment we built a weather app that gets the weather data. Let me actually go open that up right now. So I have it here. Let me see here. Let me get the terminal there. I guess I already have it open over here. Yeah, there we go. So there's our weather app. We can type in the zip code and we get the temperature here. We can choose the unit. What if we wanted to follow this up with a couple other ideas? So how about the idea of what about using geolocation to get our weather, right? So we could get our current location. The Open Weather Map service provides this. So let's take a look. I'm going to go to Open Weather Map. I'm going to follow this up with, your website's so slow. Let me see here. Let's go to their API and under current weather data, if I click on the API doc, you can see we get a city by name. We can get city by ID or weather by city ID. We can get weather by geographic coordinates, right? Currently we're using, let me arrange this here, right? Currently we're using the URL that looks like this, right? So our URL includes the zip code right here and the API key and the unit, right? So what we need to do is change this URL so that it uses the latitude and the longitude in place of the zip code, okay? But we'd like to also have the zip code, right? So we'd like to do both, right? So to get started with that, and actually, you saw there was a whole bunch of different URLs here, so we can get city ID, and there's a few more, right? So we could use all of those with the same code we have here. Essentially, the portion of our code after this path is defined, this is going to be the same no matter which one of these API URLs we use, okay? Only this part is going to change it, and actually really only this, just this one line. So what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't write a new function, right, for each one of these, right? Or we shouldn't write a new function that contains all of this code anyway, right? So let's kind of rearrange the code that we have here a little bit. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a new function called, let's do fetch weather by zip, okay? So the idea here is we'll call fetch weather by zip when we want to get the weather via the zip code. And then later we can add a function fetch weather by geocoordinates, okay? And then this one can handle weather by geocoordinates, and both of these functions will call the fetch weather function below, okay? And so the idea here is I'm going to pass the path into this function, right? And so path is already defined here. So what I think I'll do is I'll take it out of there, right? And put it here like this. And what we'll do is you'll call fetch weather by zip code. And then this will call fetch weather with the path, okay? And then we can just do our weather stuff because this should be the same for everybody. And then we'll do the same thing up here. We'll get the geocoordinates, right? And then we'll make a path. Oops, make path. And then we'll call fetch weather with the path again, right? So when we get here, this is the steps we're going to take, right? So now that I've got this set up, we actually have to use this function. So VS Code is telling me that I'm not using the function right now. It's graying out this function so I can see that this is not in use. So we're still calling the original function, right? So that's actually going to cause a problem, right? Because it's going to say that path is not defined, right? So let's go back. Let's go back here. And I'm going to copy, fetch weather by zip right here. And what I want to do is I want to call that here from our, form action, right? So instead of calling fetch weather, we're going to call fetch weather by zip. So if you submit the form here, you're collecting the zip code and then getting the weather, right? Okay. So let's refresh that. Let's try it again. 90210 was that? Beverly Hills, yeah, 65, must be Beverly Hills, 65 degrees, right? Okay, so that's all still working. Now let's see if we can get the geocoordinates working, right? So for the geocoordinates, we'll just get started and maybe we'll follow up in the next video. This one's getting kind of long. So we need to have a button to get the geocoordinates. So what I think I'm gonna do here is maybe I'll add this button, outside of the form here. Yeah, maybe I'll put it like outside here. Maybe it's not really part of that form, right? So we'll say, get weather by location, right? So there's my get weather by location. We could style this button. And when you click that button, what we're going to do is we're going to call the fetch weather by geocoordinates. Okay, so we'll call this function, and then here, well, let me look at that again. So we'll call it, when you click this, we're going to call the fetch weather by geocoordinates, and at the top here, we're going to need to get the geocoordinates, make a path, right, kind of like this, and then call fetch weather with the path, and then the rest of the code should be working, right? Okay, so let's follow this up in the next video, and we'll focus on how to get your geocoordinates, okay? Thanks for watching.